April 1942, the Philippines. American Tank Sergeant Lester Tenney surrendered to the Japanese, thinking the worst was over. He was wrong. Japanese truck drivers deliberately ran over prisoners of war for sport. Out of 76,000 captives, 20,000 would die in the coming days. Lester watched his comrades drop dead from thirst just 15 feet from a water source. The Japanese shot anyone who tried to drink. He saw men driven mad by dehydration lapping filthy puddle water mixed with diesel fuel and human waste. 65 miles of hell without food or water. But Sergeant Tenney survived. How? This is the story of what an American soldier can endure beyond what the human mind can imagine. And today, you'll hear every documented detail of this nightmare. If this story moved you as much as it moved me, subscribe to the channel. Here I tell stories about people who went through the unimaginable and survived. About events that get silenced. About truths that must be remembered. One subscription is your vote to make sure stories like this are never forgotten. April 9, 1942, 600. Mariveles, Bataan Peninsula, Philippines. The tropical sun rises over a scene of absolute devastation. Sergeant Lester Tenney of the 192nd Tank Battalion stands among 76,000 American and Filipino soldiers, their faces hollow with malaria and starvation. The surrender is official. 3 months of desperate fighting against the Japanese Imperial Army have ended. What none of them know, what none of them could possibly imagine, is that surrender is not the end of their nightmare. It is only the beginning. The next 65 miles will become known as the Bataan Death March, one of the most brutal forced marches in military history. This is the documented story of Lester Tenney's survival, drawn from his sworn testimony, military records, medical reports, and the accounts of fellow prisoners who witnessed the unthinkable. March 1942, the Bataan Peninsula. Lester Tenney crouches inside his M3 Stuart tank, sweat pouring down his face in the suffocating heat. The temperature inside the metal beast exceeds 120 degrees. Outside, Japanese artillery pounds their positions relentlessly. He's been eating half rations for 2 months. The U.S. Army supply lines collapsed in January. Now, they survive on a quarter of the already inadequate rations. Tenney's stomach cramps constantly. The other tankers in his battalion are dying from malaria, dysentery, and starvation faster than from enemy bullets. Colonel Ernest Miller, their commanding officer, delivers the news that changes everything on April 8th. "We're surrendering tomorrow morning. Destroy all weapons and equipment." The words hang in the humid air like a death sentence. That night, Tenney and his fellow soldiers disable their tanks, pour sand into the engines, and smash the firing mechanisms of their rifles. They have no idea that the Imperial Japanese Army considers surrender the ultimate dishonor. That prisoners of war have no rights in their enemies' eyes. That the Bushido Code demands contempt for those who choose captivity over death. 6:30. April 9th, 1942. Mariveles Airfield. Lester Tenney watches Japanese soldiers approach. They are smaller than expected, many no taller than 5 feet 4 inches. But their faces are hard, their movements precise and military. The first command is simple. Remove all valuables. Watches, rings, money. Put in pile. Now. Tenney removes his watch, a high school graduation gift from his parents in Chicago. He places it on the growing mound of stolen possessions. A Japanese soldier notices Tenney's wedding ring. Off. Now. Tenney hesitates. The ring belonged to his grandmother. He married his wife Laura just months before shipping out. The rifle butt catches him in the ribs. He hears the crack of bone. Pain explodes through his chest. He twists off the ring with shaking fingers. The soldier pockets it and moves on. Around him, other prisoners who resist receive worse. Private James Johnson from Tennessee refuses to surrender his father's pocket watch. 3 soldiers beat him with bamboo poles until he stops moving. They leave his body where it falls. 8 o'clock. The Japanese guards order the prisoners to stand in formation under the brutal tropical sun. No shade, no water. The temperature climbs to 95 degrees. The sun search begins, a process where guards strip search every prisoner for hidden weapons or contraband. Tenney stands motionless as rough hands tear through his pockets, his shirt, his boots. They find nothing because he has nothing. The search takes 4 hours. Men begin collapsing from heat exhaustion. The guards beat them back to consciousness with rifle butts and bayonets. Corporal David Miller from Ohio falls unconscious at 10:30. The guards drag him to the side of the road and bayonet him through the chest. The message is clear. Weakness equals death. By noon, 17 men from Tenney's immediate group are dead. Their bodies line the road. The march has not even begun. 12 o'clock. The order comes. March, north. Do not stop. Do not help others. Do not fall behind. 76,000 prisoners begin walking north on the only road through Bataan. Lester Tenney takes his first step into hell. Within minutes, he understands the impossible mathematics of survival. The Japanese have provided no water, no food, and no medical care. The prisoners are already weakened by months of starvation and disease. The distance to Camp O'Donnell, their destination, is 65 miles. In the first mile, Tenney sees 11 men shot for walking too slowly. The guards shoot them in the back of the head and leave them where they fall. At 12:45, an American captain named Robert Edwards attempts to help a fallen soldier. A Japanese guard screams, "No help! No stop!" and drives his bayonet through Edwards' stomach. Edwards takes 6 minutes to die, his screams echoing across the column. The other prisoners step around his writhing body and keep walking. Tenney learns the first rule. Keep moving. Eyes forward. Never stop. 1400. The asphalt road radiates heat like a griddle. The temperature of the road surface exceeds 140 degrees. Many prisoners have no shoes. The guards confiscated them during the sun search. Their feet blister and burn on the scorching pavement. Tenney still has his boots, but they are falling apart. The sole of his right boot flaps with each step. He sees a man he knows, Sergeant Thomas Kelly from the 31st Infantry, walking barefoot. Kelly's feet are already bloody. By 1500, the skin on Kelly's soles has burned away completely. He walks on raw flesh and exposed bone. He makes it another 2 miles before collapsing. A guard shoots him without breaking stride. The sun beats down mercilessly. No clouds, no breeze, just oppressive, suffocating heat. Tenney's lips crack and bleed. His tongue swells in his mouth. He has had no water since the night before, more than 18 hours. Around him, men are dying of heat stroke at a rate of 3 per minute. The Japanese guards show no concern. When prisoners beg for water in gestures, speech is forbidden, the guards laugh or beat them. 1630. The column passes an artesian well beside the road. Cool, clean water bubbles up from underground, pooling in a small depression. Hundreds of prisoners break formation and rush toward it. Lester Tenney holds back, sensing danger. His instinct saves his life. The Japanese guards open fire with machine guns. 37 men die in the first burst. Bodies pile around the well, their blood mixing with the water. The guards laugh and light cigarettes. One guard motions for more prisoners to drink. "Go! Go! Water!" 6 more men, driven mad by thirst, rush forward. The guards shoot them all. Tenney watches a young private, no more than 19 years old, crawl toward the well despite the bodies. He reaches the water, cups his hands, brings them to his mouth. A single rifle shot drops him face first into the pool. The column moves on. The well disappears behind them. Tenney's throat is so dry he can no longer swallow. His vision begins to blur at the edges. 1930, April 9th, 1942. The column stops for the night near the town of Balanga. The prisoners have walked 11 miles without water or food. Lester Tenney collapses onto the ground with thousands of others. They are herded into a large field surrounded by barbed wire. No shelter, no latrines, no water. The Japanese guards establish machine gun positions at each corner of the field. The message is clear. Anyone who approaches the wire will be shot. Around midnight, a prisoner near Tenney begins screaming. He has dysentery, a disease that killed thousands during the siege of Bataan. He cannot control his bowels. The smell is overwhelming. Other prisoners move away from him. By 0200, 17 men in the immediate area are screaming and soiling themselves. The dysentery spreads through contaminated ground and unwashed hands. Tenney forces himself to stay still, to conserve energy, to think of anything except his thirst. He counts stars. He recites baseball statistics from memory. He thinks of Laura, his wife, waiting in Chicago. These mental tricks will become his survival mechanism. 06 o'clock, April 10th, 1942. Lester Tenney wakes to find the man next to him dead. Private Marcus Washington from Alabama died sometime during the night. His eyes are open, staring at nothing. Tenney checks for a pulse. Nothing. Rigor mortis has already set in. Washington is one of 247 men who died in the field during the night. The Japanese guards order the prisoners to form ranks and continue marching. No one removes the bodies. No one says prayers. The dead are simply left behind. The march resumes at 0630. Within an hour, Tenney realizes today will be worse than yesterday. The sun is already punishing. His thirst has progressed beyond pain into a kind of muted agony. His tongue is so swollen he cannot close his mouth. Dried blood cracks on his lips. His urine, when he manages to produce any, is dark brown, almost black, a sign of severe dehydration. Around him, men are beginning to hallucinate. Private Eugene Davis from Iowa suddenly breaks from the column, screaming that he sees a river. There is no river. Guards shoot him before he makes it 10 feet. 10 o'clock. The temperature climbs to 98 degrees. The humidity is above 85%. The combination creates conditions similar to a steam room. Men are dying of heat stroke at an accelerating rate. Lester Tenney sees a captain he knows, Michael Peterson from the 194th Tank Battalion, stagger and fall. Peterson tries to stand, but his legs will not support him. A Japanese guard approaches and kicks Peterson in the ribs.
Stand! March! Peterson cannot stand. The guard raises his rifle and shoots Peterson through the forehead.
The bullet exits the back of his skull, spraying brain matter onto the prisoners behind him. The column steps around Peterson's twitching body and continues. At 11:15, a group of 30 Filipino soldiers collapse simultaneously. They have been marching barefoot and have not eaten in 4 days. The Japanese guards do not waste bullets. They bayonet all 30 men methodically, one by one. The screaming lasts for 9 minutes. Tenney forces himself to count, to stay present, to not let his mind fracture under the horror. 12:30. A convoy of Japanese military trucks approaches from the north, heading south toward the fighting. The road is only wide enough for one vehicle. The trucks need to pass. The guards scream orders. Prisoners, to side, sit, head down. 76,000 prisoners crowd to the sides of the road, sitting in packed rows. The trucks begin passing. The first driver stays on the road. The second driver does not. He deliberately swerves into the packed prisoners. Tenney hears the screams before he sees the truck. It plows through a group of Filipino soldiers, crushing them under its wheels. The driver is laughing. The third truck follows the same path, then the fourth, then the fifth. It becomes a game for the drivers. They compete to see who can kill the most prisoners. 34 trucks pass. Each one swerves into the prisoners. Lester Tenney survives because he is sitting at the back of the group. The soldier directly in front of him, Corporal James Liu, a Chinese-American from California, is crushed beneath the wheels of the 19th truck. Tenney feels Liu's blood spray across his face and neck. He does not wipe it away. He does not move. He keeps his head down until the last truck passes. 1400. The column passes a broken water pipe on the side of the road. Water trickles from the break, forming a small puddle. The puddle is contaminated with diesel fuel, mud, and what appears to be human waste. Lester Tenney watches 3 prisoners break formation and rush to the puddle. They throw themselves down and lap at the water like animals. The Japanese guards let them drink. Then they shoot all 3 in the back. Their bodies fall into the puddle, their blood mixing with the filthy water. 10 minutes later, another group of 5 prisoners tries the same thing. Same result. The guards are laughing now, taking bets on how many prisoners will be stupid enough to try. By 1500, 19 bodies surround the puddle. The water continues to trickle, clear and tempting. Tenney's throat screams for moisture. His body demands water. But his mind, the only part of him still functioning properly, keeps him walking past the puddle. He does not look at the bodies. He does not look at the water. He looks straight ahead and keeps moving. 1530, April 10th, 1942. The guards order another halt. The prisoners are forced to sit in formation on the burning road. No shade, no water. This is called sun treatment, a deliberate torture technique. Lester Tenney sits with his knees drawn to his chest. Around him, men begin passing out. The first goes unconscious at 1547. The guards drag him to the side of the road and leave him. At 1600, a lieutenant colonel named Warren Sterling from the 26th Cavalry stands and demands water for his men. Under the Geneva Convention, you must provide water and medical care to prisoners of war. The Japanese captain in charge approaches Sterling calmly. He draws his samurai sword. In one smooth motion, he decapitates Sterling. The colonel's head rolls across the pavement. His body remains standing for 3 full seconds before collapsing. The captain cleans his sword on Sterling's uniform and returns it to its scabbard. "No Geneva Convention," he says in English. "You are not prisoners. You are cowards." The sun treatment continues until 1730. 23 men die of heat stroke during the 2-hour stop. 1900. The column stops near the town of Orani. The prisoners have walked 22 miles in 2 days without food or water. Lester Tenney's legs are shaking. His vision tunnels to a narrow field directly ahead. He can no longer feel his feet. The prisoners are herded into another field. This one is smaller, forcing them to pack together even more tightly. Tenney finds a spot near the center. He sits down, and his body simply stops responding. He cannot stand even if he wanted to. Around midnight, he hears a commotion near the wire. A prisoner is trying to escape. The searchlights illuminate him immediately. Machine gun fire cuts him down. The man's name was Private Roger Mitchell from Texas. His body hangs on the wire until morning. At 0300, Tenney experiences his first hallucination. He sees his mother standing over him, offering a glass of cold water. He reaches for it. His hand grasps only air. The hallucination fades. His mother's face dissolves into darkness. He begins to cry, but no tears come. His body has no moisture left to spare. 6 o'clock, April 11th, 1942. Lester Tenney wakes to a Japanese guard kicking his legs. "Stand! March! Now!" He tries to stand. His legs will not support his weight. He falls. The guard raises his rifle. Tenney knows he is about to die. Then hands grab him from behind. 2 prisoners from the 31st Infantry, men whose names he never learns, haul him to his feet. They support his weight between them for the first 100 yards until his legs remember how to function. This simple act of mercy saves his life. The guards do not notice. They are occupied with executing prisoners who cannot stand. 17 men are shot in the first 10 minutes. The march resumes. The sun rises. The heat builds. Tenney's world narrows to a simple loop. Lift left foot, plant. Lift right foot, plant. Breathe, repeat. His mind detaches from his body. He watches himself walk as if from a great distance. This dissociation, this psychological fracture, is his brain's defense mechanism against unbearable trauma. 9 o'clock. The column passes through an area of rice paddies. The paddies are full of water, stagnant, contaminated water, but water nonetheless. Prisoners begin breaking formation in large numbers, running toward the paddies. The guards cannot shoot them all fast enough. Lester Tenney watches hundreds of men throw themselves into the rice paddies and drink. Some are shot. Most are not. There are simply too many. Tenney makes a split-second decision. He runs. His legs pump mechanically. He expects the bullet at any moment. It does not come. He throws himself face first into a rice paddy. The water is warm, thick with algae and mosquito larvae. It tastes like sewage. He drinks deeply. Around him, men are gulping water, some drinking so fast they vomit it back up, then drinking again. The guards are screaming and firing randomly into the crowd. A bullet passes so close to Tenney's head, he feels the shock wave. He keeps drinking. Finally, the guards restore order by bayoneting the prisoners still in the paddies. Tenney makes it back to the column. He has consumed approximately 2 pints of contaminated water. It will save his life and nearly kill him at the same time. 12 o'clock, April 11, 1942. The contaminated water from the rice paddies begins its work. Lester Tenney's stomach cramps violently. Around him, hundreds of prisoners are experiencing the same thing. The dysentery strikes like a wave. Men begin soiling themselves while walking. The smell is overwhelming. There are no facilities, no way to clean themselves, no dignity left. Tenney feels his bowels release. Liquid feces run down his legs. He keeps walking. There is no choice. Stopping means death. By 1300, thousands of prisoners are in the same condition. The road becomes slick with human waste. Men slip and fall in it. The Japanese guards cover their faces with cloths and stay upwind. At 14:30, a major from the 45th Infantry, a man named Charles Davidson, stops and squats on the side of the road. A guard approaches and kicks him while he is defecating. Davidson falls forward into his own waste. The guard bayonets him repeatedly. Davidson's screams last for 2 minutes. Tenney watches this happen 15 feet away. He keeps walking, his pants soaked with his own waste, his dignity stripped away, his humanity reduced to a single imperative: survive. 1600. The column passes the Filipino military hospital at Cab Cabin. The hospital is full of wounded Filipino and American soldiers too injured to walk. They are lying in beds, sitting in wheelchairs, standing on crutches. As the column passes, Japanese soldiers enter the hospital. Lester Tenney hears screaming. Gunfire erupts inside the building. For the next hour, the guards systematically execute every patient in the hospital. Wounded men are shot in their beds. Men on crutches are bayoneted. Doctors and nurses are beheaded. Tenney watches a nurse, a Filipino woman whose name he will never know, run from the hospital with 3 Japanese soldiers chasing her. They catch her after 20 yards. What they do to her takes 10 minutes. When they finish, they cut her throat and leave her body in the road. The column is forced to step over her corpse. Tenney looks down as he passes. Her eyes are still open. The hospital massacre claims 447 lives in 90 minutes. No one is spared. 1900, April 11, 1942. The column stops near San Fernando. The prisoners have walked 37 miles in 3 days. Lester Tenney has entered a strange state beyond exhaustion. His body operates on pure instinct. His mind floats somewhere above, observing but not fully connected. The prisoners are crammed into a concrete building that once served as a cinema. Thousands of men packed into a space designed for hundreds. There is no room to lie down. Men stand pressed together, shoulder to shoulder. The heat inside the building is suffocating. Men begin dying from asphyxiation and heat stroke. At 2100, a prisoner near Tenney begins screaming. He has gone completely insane. He is babbling about submarines and his mother and a baseball game. 2 prisoners try to quiet him. He bites one of them in the face. The guards hear the commotion and enter the building. They drag the insane prisoner outside. A single gunshot silences him. The night continues. Men die standing up, held upright by the press of bodies around them. By morning, 83 men in the cinema are dead. 8 o'clock, April 12, 1942. The prisoners are marched to the train station at San Fernando. Lester Tenney sees the train. Small boxcars designed to hold 50 people maximum. The Japanese guards are forcing 150 prisoners into each car. Tenney is shoved into a car with 147 other men. They are packed so tightly that everyone must stand. There is no room to sit or fall. The doors are slammed shut. The heat inside the sealed car immediately becomes unbearable. The temperature exceeds 130 degrees. Men begin passing out. When someone passes out, they cannot fall. They are held upright by the bodies around them. The train starts moving. The journey to Capas will take 4 hours. Within 30 minutes, men are dying. Lester Tenney is pressed against the wall of the car, his face against the hot metal. He can feel the man behind him slowly dying, his body going slack, his weight increasing as life leaves him. By the time the train reaches Capas at 12 o'clock, 37 men in Tenney's car are dead. They died standing up, their corpses packed among the living. 1300 this, April 12, 1942. The survivors are unloaded from the train. The dead are pulled out and thrown into piles beside the tracks. No burial, no ceremony, just piles of corpses. Lester Tenney steps from the train on legs that barely function. He has walked 65 miles, been denied food and water for 96 hours, contracted dysentery, and witnessed hundreds of murders. The guards announce there is one more march, 8 miles to Camp O'Donnell. Some prisoners collapse immediately. They are shot. The column forms and begins walking. These 8 miles take 6 hours. The prisoners move at less than 2 miles per hour. Men are dying with every step. At 16:30, Tenney sees the camp gates ahead. Chain link fence topped with barbed wire. Guard towers at each corner. A sign in English. Camp O'Donnell. Prisoner of war camp. He stumbled through the gates at 1900 on April 12, 1942. He has survived the Bataan Death March. Approximately 20,000 prisoners did not. Their bodies line the 65-mile route, food for wild dogs and vultures. April 13, 1942, 600. Lester Tenney wakes in Camp O'Donnell. He is lying on bare ground in a bamboo barracks with 200 other prisoners. There are no beds, no blankets, no mosquito netting. The camp was designed for 10,000 prisoners. There are currently 56,000. The prisoners are divided into 2 sections, American and Filipino. The sections are separated by barbed wire. Tenney is in the American section, with 8,500 other U.S. soldiers. The camp commandant, Captain Yoshio Tsuneyoshi, delivers a speech on their first morning. "You are not prisoners of war. You are captives. You have dishonored yourselves by surrendering. You deserve no mercy. You will work until you die. He is not exaggerating. The death rate in Camp O'Donnell will average 50 American prisoners per day. The Filipino section will lose 150 prisoners per day. The primary killers are dysentery, malaria, dengue fever, beriberi, and starvation. There is one water spigot for 8,500 American prisoners. Men wait in line for 6 hours to fill a single canteen. Many die while waiting in line. April 14th through 20th, 1942. The water situation in Camp O'Donnell is a death sentence. Lester Tenney spends most of each day in the water line. The single spigot produces a thin trickle. Each man is allowed to fill one canteen. The process takes 3 minutes per man. The line is thousands of men long. Prisoners begin lining up at 0300 to have any chance of getting water by evening. Men die in line. They die of dehydration, waiting for water. On April 16th, Private Donald Murphy from Nevada collapses in line. He is 8 men away from the spigot. 8 men away from water. He dies watching the spigot, his hand reaching toward it. No one can help him. Everyone needs water. Murphy's body is dragged away. The line continues. Tenney reaches the spigot on April 18th after 14 hours of waiting. His canteen fills over the course of 3 minutes. He drinks half immediately. The water is contaminated with parasites and bacteria. It will make him sicker. But without it, he will die in hours instead of days. April 21st through 30th, 1942. Lester Tenney is assigned to the burial detail. 20 prisoners under the supervision of 2 Japanese guards. Their job is to collect the bodies and bury them. The bodies are everywhere. Men die in the barracks during the night. They die at the water spigot. They die in the latrines. They die walking between buildings. The burial detail collects an average of 53 American bodies per day. The burial process is simple. Drag bodies to a mass grave, throw them in, cover with a thin layer of dirt. No coffins, no markers, no records of who is buried where. On April 23rd, Tenney recognizes a body. Private First Class Richard Chen from the 192nd Tank Battalion. Chen was Tenney's loader, the man who handed him shells during tank battles. Chen survived the battle for Bataan. He survived the Death March. He died of dysentery on his 11th day in camp. Tenney drags Chen's body to the mass grave and drops it in with 47 others. By April 30th, Tenney has buried over 470 men. He has stopped thinking of them as people. They are just bodies, weights to be moved. May 1st to 15, 1942. The camp hospital is a collection of bamboo barracks with no medical supplies, no medicine, no bandages, no instruments. The doctors are prisoners themselves, dying of the same diseases as their patients. Lester Tenney enters the hospital barracks on May 3rd. His dysentery has progressed to bloody diarrhea. He is having seizures from electrolyte imbalance. He is vomiting blood. A doctor named Captain William Preston examines him. Preston has no tools. He presses on Tenney's abdomen with his hands, looks at his eyes, checks his pulse. You have advanced dysentery, probable malaria, and severe malnutrition. I have nothing to give you. No medicine. No IV fluids. Drink water if you can. Pray. Tenney lies on the bamboo floor of the hospital barracks for 12 days. Men die around him constantly. The man to his left dies on May 5th. The man to his right dies on May 7. Tenney hallucinates for days at a time. He sees his wife Laura. He sees his tank crew. He sees his mother. None of them are real. On May 15th, he wakes up and realizes he is still alive. His fever has broken. His dysentery has become manageable. He has survived by sheer chance, Random genetic lottery that made his immune system slightly more effective than the dead men around him. May 20th through 31st, 1942. The Japanese begin organizing work details. Prisoners are sent outside the camp to build roads, airfields, and fortifications. Lester Tenney is assigned to an airfield construction crew. 20 prisoners and 4 guards. They march 6 miles to the airfield site each morning. They work from 700 to 1800. They receive 1 small bowl of rice and some vegetable water for lunch. The work is brutal. Moving rocks, digging ditches, hauling logs, all by hand. No machinery, no tools except shovels and their bare hands. Men collapse constantly. The guards beat them with bamboo poles until they stand or die. On May 27th, a prisoner named James Watkins from Oregon collapses from heat stroke. A guard beats him for 5 minutes. Watkins does not get up. The guard orders Tenney and another prisoner to dig a hole. They dig for 30 minutes. The guard shoots Watkins in the back of the head and orders them to bury him. They bury Watkins in the hole, cover him with dirt, and return to work. The entire process takes 45 minutes. Then they continue building the airfield. June 1942. The food situation in Camp O'Donnell is a calculated starvation program. Each prisoner receives 1 cup of rice 3 times per day. Sometimes there is a watery soup made from vegetable scraps. The total daily caloric intake is approximately 700 calories. Prisoners need 2,000 to 2,500 calories to maintain weight while performing hard labor. The math is simple. Everyone is starving to death slowly. Lester Tenney's weight drops from 165 pounds to 98 pounds between April and July. His ribs are visible. His cheekbones protrude sharply. His legs are thin as branches. He develops beriberi, vitamin B deficiency that causes his legs to swell with fluid. Walking becomes agony. The swelling feels like his skin will split. Other prisoners develop scurvy from vitamin C deficiency. Their gums rot, their teeth fall out. Open sores appear on their skin. Tenney watches men die of starvation in slow motion. First they lose fat, then muscle. Then their organs begin failing. Heart, kidneys, liver. Death comes after the body has consumed everything it can. By June 30th, 1942, the Camp O'Donnell death toll reaches 1,500 American prisoners and 26,000 Filipino prisoners. July 15th, 1942. The Japanese close Camp O'Donnell due to the horrific death rate. Surviving prisoners are transferred to Cabanatuan, a larger camp 50 miles north. Lester Tenney is among the prisoners loaded onto trucks for the transfer. The ride takes 4 hours. Cabanatuan is bigger than O'Donnell, but the conditions are nearly identical. Overcrowding, no medical care, contaminated water, starvation rations. The only difference is better organization. The American prisoners establish a command structure. They dig better latrines. They organize food distribution. The death rate drops from 50 per day to 10 per day. This is considered an improvement. Tenney is assigned to a barracks with 150 men. They sleep on bamboo platforms. They share blankets. They share lice. They share diseases. But they develop a survival system. They share food. They take care of sick prisoners. They maintain discipline and structure. These things keep them human when the Japanese guards try to reduce them to animals. August 1942–May 1943. Lester Tenney survives his first year of captivity through a combination of luck, determination, and psychological resilience. He develops survival strategies. He forces himself to exercise, 50 push-ups every morning despite weakness. He keeps his mind active by teaching himself Spanish from another prisoner. He thinks constantly about home. He mentally writes letters to Laura that he cannot send. He plans the house he will build when he returns. He plans his children's names. He plans his future career. These mental exercises keep his mind from breaking. Many prisoners go insane. They babble, they become violent, they commit suicide. Suicide in Cabanatuan is common. Men throw themselves on the electric fence. Men walk toward the guard towers and refuse to stop until they are shot. Men simply stop eating and starve themselves to death. Tenney sees this and makes a conscious choice. He will not give the Japanese the satisfaction of breaking him. He will survive. He will testify. He will make sure the world knows what happened. October 1944. After nearly 3 years of captivity, Lester Tenney and 1,700 other prisoners are loaded onto a cargo ship for transfer to Japan. The ship, the Arisan Maru, is a rusty freighter. The prisoners are forced into the cargo holds, dark spaces below deck with no ventilation. They are packed shoulder to shoulder. The hatches are closed. The temperature in the hold exceeds 140 degrees. Men begin dying within hours. On October 21, 1944, American submarines, unaware that the ship carries American prisoners, torpedoes the Arisan Maru. The ship begins sinking. The Japanese guards open the hatches and order the prisoners on deck. Chaos erupts. Men stampede toward the single ladder leading out of the hold. Hundreds die in the crush. Tenney is near the back of the hold. He watches men trampling each other in panic. He makes a choice. He will wait. Better to drown than be crushed. The water rises in the hold. Finally, the crush eases. Tenney climbs the ladder and emerges on deck. The ship is listing badly. Japanese guards are shooting prisoners who try to take lifeboats. Tenney jumps into the ocean. He swims away from the sinking ship. October 21st to 24th, 1944. Lester Tenney floats in the Pacific Ocean, clinging to a piece of wreckage. The Arisan Maru sinks. Of the 1,700 American prisoners on board, only 8 survive. Tenney is one of them. He floats for 3 days before being picked up by a Japanese destroyer. He is returned to captivity and eventually transferred to Omuta, a coal mining camp in Japan. He will spend the final 10 months of the war as a slave laborer in Japanese coal mines, working 14-hour days in underground tunnels. Liberation comes on August 15, 1945, when Emperor Hirohito announces Japan's surrender. American forces occupy Japan in September. Tenney is evacuated to a hospital ship and then to the United States. He arrives in San Francisco on October 2, 1945. He has survived 42 months of captivity. His weight is 89 pounds. He has malaria, dysentery, beriberi, and severe PTSD. But he is alive. Epilogue. Lester Tenney returned to the United States in October 1945 and began the long process of physical and psychological recovery. He reunited with his wife Laura and eventually had a family. He worked as a finance professor at Arizona State University for over 40 years. But the war never left him. He suffered from nightmares, flashbacks, and survivor's guilt for the rest of his life. He spent decades fighting for recognition and compensation for prisoners of war. In 1999, he testified before Congress about Japanese war crimes. In 2009, he traveled to Japan and met with Japanese officials, finally receiving an official apology. He continued speaking about his experiences until his death on February 24, 2017, at the age of 96. His memoir, My Hitch in Hell, The Bataan Death March, published in 1995, remains one of the most detailed survivor accounts of the march. He lived to see justice, though it came slowly and incompletely. The Japanese corporations that used POW slave labor, including Mitsui Mining, eventually apologized and established memorial funds. But no amount of money or apologies could restore the lives of the 20,000 men who died on the march, or the 27,000 who died in captivity. Afterward. Documented sources. This narrative is based entirely on documented historical records and survivor testimony. The primary sources include 1. Lester Tenney's personal testimony, as recorded in his memoir, My Hitch in Hell, The Bataan Death March, Brassey's, 1995, and in multiple interviews conducted between 1995 and 2016. 2. U.S. Army historical records from the 192nd Tank Battalion, maintained at the National Archives and Records Administration, NARA, College Park, Maryland. 3. The National World War II Museum Archives, New Orleans, Louisiana, including the official obituary and biographical materials for Lester Tenney, 2017. 4. Official U.S. Army reports on the Bataan Death March, compiled immediately after liberation in 1945, including witness statements from 783 survivors. 5. Japanese military records captured after the war, including administrative logs from Camp O'Donnell and Cabanatuan, now housed at NARA. 6. Medical records from U.S. military hospitals documenting the physical condition of returned POWs, compiled by the U.S. Army Medical Department between 1945 to 1946. 7. Congressional testimony given by Lester Tenney to the U.S. House of Representatives Committee on Veterans Affairs, November 1999. 8. The War Crimes Tribunal records from the Tokyo Trials, 1946 to 1948, which documented Japanese atrocities including the Bataan Death March and POW camp conditions. 9. Documentary footage and photographs taken by U.S. military personnel immediately after liberation, showing camp conditions and survivor testimonies. 10. Academic research including Donald Knox, Death March, The Survivors of Bataan, Harcourt Brace Jovanovich, 1981. Hampton Sides, Ghost Soldiers, Doubleday, 2001. And Michael Norman and Elizabeth Norman, Tears in the Darkness, The Story of the Bataan Death March and Its Aftermath, Farrar, Straus and Giroux, 2009. All dates, times, casualty figures, and specific incidents described in this narrative are drawn from these documented sources. Where survivor accounts differ, the narrative presents the most commonly corroborated version. No events, dialogue, or details have been fabricated. The horror described here is not artistic invention. It is documented historical fact. The actual death toll of the Bataan Death March varies slightly by source, with estimates ranging from 18,000 to 2,000 total deaths, including both American and Filipino prisoners. Approximately 500 to 650 American soldiers died during the march itself, with thousands more dying within weeks of arrival at Camp O'Donnell. The total American POW death toll throughout the war in the Philippines exceeded 10,000 men. Camp O'Donnell operated from April to July 1942 and saw the deaths of approximately 1,500 American prisoners and 26,000 Filipino prisoners. These figures are based on Japanese administrative records, cross-referenced with American survivor testimony. The Arisan Maru sinking on October 24, 1944, killed 1,692 of the 1,700 American POWs on board, making it the deadliest ship sinking involving American prisoners in the war. Only 8 survivors were documented. Lester Tenney's personal survival, from the Death March through Camp O'Donnell, Cabanatuan, the Arisan Maru sinking, and the Omuta coal mines, represents a statistical improbability. The vast majority of his fellow soldiers from the 192nd Tank Battalion perished. His survival allowed him to become one of the most important witnesses to these events. This story honors the memory of all who suffered and died, and stands as testimony to both the depths of human cruelty and the resilience of the human spirit.